you're doing good today. Today we're moving on lesson 3.9, which is dealing with dilations. Okay, so just like your pupils dilate, meaning they shrink and they get bigger, dilations has to deal with that as well. Okay, so let's jump into that. So the first thing we're going to look at are my key points. So remember, pre-image is always the before, the original, the figure or the shape, and then the image is the after. So pre-image is before, image is after. Okay, so dilations do not preserve orientations, means face the same way, and they do not perform rigidity, meaning it's not going to be the same shape after it ends up performing its orientation here. Okay, so all you have to do whenever you're dilating is you got to take your original order pair and then you just multiply it by what you're dilating by. So K is always going to be what you're dilating. So if I'm doing a scale factor of 2, I'm just going to multiply by 2. If I do a scale factor of 1/2, it's going to end up multiplying by 1/2. So just to let you know, if you end up multiplying by something, if that number, meaning K, if K is greater than, is going to be greater than 1, is greater than 1, that means it's going to be a bigger dilation. It's going to get a lot bigger, okay? It's going to be a bigger dilation. It's going to get bigger, okay? If K is in between 0 and 1, meaning it's going to be a fraction, any number in between 0 and 1, my shape is going to get smaller. It's going to be a shrink, okay? So make sure you understand, if it's bigger than 1, it's going to be a bigger shape. If it's in between 0 and 1, it's going to be a smaller shape, okay? So let's jump into the examples. All right, so on example number 1, it says to dilate the rectangle EFGH by a scale factor of 1/2 about the origin. So right here, if you look 1/2, it's in between 0 and 1, so the shape is actually going to shrink. It's going to get smaller. So let's go ahead and do that. So literally all I'm going to do is I'm going to take each ordered pair and I'm going to multiply it by the scale factor. So remember, I'm going to be taking x comma y, and then I'm going to be multiplying each one of these by the scale factor. That's all I'm doing. So I'm taking half of each ordered pair. So let's go ahead and look at E first. So E looks like it's at -8, 6. So E is sitting at -8, 6. So now I'm going to multiply each one of those by 1/2. So that means I'm going to multiply by 1/2, multiply by 1/2, meaning 1/2 of -8 is going to end up giving me -4. 1/2 of 6 is going to end up giving me 3. So the new ordered pair for E prime is going to be -4, 3. So -4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so right here, this is going to be E prime. Okay, now let's do the same thing with the next one. So let's go ahead and do F. So F is up here. So that's going to be -2, 6. So I'm going to do the same exact thing again. So -2 and 6. So I'm multiplying by 1/2, multiplying by 1/2 on both of those. -2 times 1/2, meaning half of -2 is going to be -1. Half of 6 is going to end up giving me 3. So -1 comma 3 is going to be F prime. So -1 comma 3 is going to end up being F prime. Okay? Now let's go ahead and do G. So G is sitting at -2, 3, it looks like. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So -2 and 3. So I'm going to multiply by 1/2, multiply by 1/2. So -2 times 1/2 is going to end up giving me -1. 3 times 1/2 is going to end up giving me 1.5. So I'm going to go over 1 and up 1.5, which is about right here. So G prime. And now let's go ahead and do H. So remember, I'm just multiplying by the scale factor. So H is sitting at -8, 3. So I'm doing the same thing, -8, 3. I'm going to multiply by 1/2, multiply by 1/2. -8 times 1/2 is going to end up -4. 3 times 1/2 is going to end up giving me 1.5. So -4 and 1.5. So now if I actually end up drawing my shape here, you can see I actually shrunk. And then I shrunk down by a half scale there because I multiplied by 1/2, so it shrunk, okay? Remember, in between 0 and 1 is a shrink, okay? Let's look at example number 2. All right, so look at example number 2. It wants you to dilate the triangle XYZ by a scale factor of 2 about the origin. So again, I'm multiplying by the scale factor, which is 2. So I have to take x comma y, and I have to multiply it by what the scale factor is. So I'm doing k times x and I'm doing k times y. So this is going to end up being my k, so I'm literally just multiplying by 2. So up top I told you if k is greater than 1, then that means the shape is going to end up growing, is going to get bigger, okay? So it's bigger than 1, so my shape's going to end up being bigger. So let's go ahead and do x. So right now x is sitting at -2, 2. And I'm literally just going to multiply by 2 on both of those. So it'd be -4, 4 would end up being my new point there. So I'm going to go -4 and 4. So this is going to be x prime, okay? So let's go ahead and do y. So it looks like y is sitting at -1, -3. So -1, -3. And again, I'm going to multiply times 2 on both of those. So I should get -2, -6, because -1 times 2 and -3 times 2 is -2, -6. So I'm going to go over 2 and I'm going to go down 4, 5, and 6. So this is going to be y prime. And then I'm also going to do the same thing with z. So z is sitting at 4, 3. So 4, 3. So times 2 again. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 2 is 6. So 8, 6 is going to be my new coordinate. So 8 and then up 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is going to end up being z prime. So if you look, if I actually connect my points here, you can see that my triangle has gotten bigger compared to my other triangle because I multiplied it by a scale factor of 2. I actually made it 2 times as big as it was, okay? All right, so let's look at example number 3. All right, and lastly, look at example number 3. It wants me to dilate the rectangle EFGH, which we don't have a rectangle here, we have a triangle, so it looks like it's just EFG by a scale factor of 1/3 about the origin. So again, I told y'all earlier that if it's in between 0 and 1, your k value, it's going to be a shrink, or it's going to get smaller, okay? So in between 0 and 1 is going to be 1/3, so it's going to be getting smaller. So let's go ahead and do this. So right now, looking at, let's go ahead and do E. So remember, I'm doing x comma y, and then I'm actually multiplying x by the scale factor and y by the scale factor, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and do point E. So point E looks like it is sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 right now. And I'm going to multiply by 1/3, which is the same thing as dividing by 3. So 6 times 1/3, or 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2. 6 times 1/3, or 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2. So that's going to be the new point of E prime. So right here is going to be E prime, okay? So let's go ahead and do F. So now looking at F, which is down here, it looks like it's going to be 6, -3, 6, -3, and I'm going to multiply each one of those by a scale factor of 1/3. 6 times 1/3, or 6 divided by 3 is going to give me 2. -3 times 1/3, or -3 divided by 3 is going to be -1. So I'm going to go over 2 and down 1, so this is going to be F prime, okay? Now let's go ahead and do G now. So G is sitting at, it looks like 9, 6 right now. So 9, 6. I'm going to multiply each one of those by 1/3 again. So 9 times 1/3, or 9 divided by 3 is going to be 3. 6 times 1/3, or 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2. So my point is going to be over 3 and then up 2. So this is going to end up being G prime. So now if I actually connect all these dots here, if you look, my triangle has formed from this triangle to this triangle, which is actually going to be a shrink because I multiplied by 1/3, which is going to be a shrink in between 0 and 1, okay? Let's jump over to the challenge question. Okay, so now remember, the challenge question is meant to be a judge for you, meaning you need to figure out if you can do this on your own. It's a proof that you know what you're doing and you can move on to the skill check. If you're struggling with this, ask for help. I can help you out, or one of the teachers in here can help you out. Or if you need a little bit more practice, there's a booklet or a quiz is ready for you as well if you want a little bit more practice before you do this as well, okay? Let me know if you need any help. Good luck.